Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! So as many of you have probably known for a very long time, I'm one of the biggest gamers in the world, which pretty much means that I have every game ever released and produced for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, literally. So it came to my attention today that I didn't have one of the games of the Life is Strange collection because it was only released over 3 weeks ago. So I went to EB Games today to pick it up, and just as I was picking up the game, spending money that I never had, a bunch of girls walk in wearing Freya Sky merch, and I thought it was so cool seeing a bunch of girls just randomly showing their love and support for Freya Sky from out of nowhere, thinking they could be gamers just like me, and hopefully watch this YouTube channel. But it was so cool seeing you guys sporting your Freya Sky merch today, and hopefully, I can only ever hope that you guys watch this channel. And thank you so much for all the love and support that you guys have shown for people like Freya Sky, because the more love and support that we can show for people like Freya Sky, the further she is going to go with her career. I just randomly go to the game store every day and I buy video games because I have nothing else better to do with my life. It's either buy video games, wasting money that I never have, or creating videos for fans of Descendants of Zombies. And honestly, guys, I wouldn't have it any other way. If there was one thing that I could do every night for the rest of my life, it would be host these conversations about Descendants of Zombies that we seem to have all the time for. I love doing this, and if there was one thing that I could do for the rest of my life, it would be this, because it's led me to meet so many wonderful people, sharing in the same passions that I've always had and carried with me. And I felt more than honored to experience this through sharing my story with you about how I randomly became a fan of Descendants of Zombies. I think it's so cool how much you guys love Freya and how you've loved Kylie for forever. I remember watching Kylie Control growing up on a show called Hello Kylie, which was inspired by Hello Kitty on YouTube. Her YouTube channel exploded in popularity long before mine ever did, because I was pretty much a loser who was creating videos about stuff that never made a whole lot of sense to a whole lot of people, such as video games and movies, because I was a really big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spider-Man, the Twilight Saga. And I know that's really random for a guy to openly admit on his show, but I was the biggest fan ever of the Twilight Saga because there was just something about vampires and werewolves going head-to-head over Bella Swan that I found quite interesting. And being part of that, stop laughing, but being a part of that generation and seeing the popularity, the overwhelming popularity of vampires and werewolves, which became something far greater to a lot of people and went on to mean so much to a lot of people, was really a life-changing experience for me, just as this has been. Because I think Descendants of Zombies has really stood alone in a category of its own for a very long time and really fared quite well in a generation that necessarily was never prided or promoted by werewolves and vampires and them kind of coexisting. I think that the Zombies universe is really cool and really fun to be a part of, and I've loved being a part of it every moment that I've shared with you guys and spent around you guys creating content. I've never ever forgotten any moment that we shared together, and I look forward to sharing many more moments with all of you, because the love and support that you always receive from fans of Descendants of Zombies is quite like anything that you will never experience in your lifetime ever again, because moments like these never do happen very often for a lot of content creators. This never happens for a whole lot of people who create Descendants of Zombies videos and take it upon themselves to do so. This YouTube channel was one in a million, and it exploded in popularity overnight. It really did happen that way, because I uploaded, I think it was one video about Dove Cameron so many years ago, and that one video ended up with over 1,000 views, and that was really incredible. This YouTube channel really did explode overnight because of my engaging content and my insights that I offered on people like Dove Cameron, Sophia Carson, which eventually became Kylie Contrell, and Ruby Rose Turner, who God knows I love with all of my heart. She is definitely my favorite Descendants character, hands down. There is no argument or discussion ever coming from me about who is my favorite Descendants character, because I've been very to the point about who I chose over everybody because of how genuinely sweet the girl was, and I will continue to support her for forever and always, regardless if she returns or not to the Descendants franchise, which I think is pretty much a long way away from ever happening, and the door is pretty much remaining shut on that. But regardless if she returns or not, she will always have my distinction of being the most popular character in Descendants, because she was really a bubblegum type character that really inspired us that kindness can really take a person further in this lifetime. And I've often told you guys that I've never had the chance to really see a whole lot of kind people in this lifetime until I fell into this niche. And I feel like I fell down a rabbit hole, because ever since falling down through that rabbit hole, I quickly understood how Descendants of Zombies fans were some of the most incredibly supportive fans that you could ever have the honor of recording content for, and I really perceive this as an honor and more of a chance to meet more people than I ever imagined possible. The incredible reach of these videos and how well these videos have become received and responded to is really incredible to me, because it blows my mind how supportive you guys are of a guy like me, who pretty much was a loser before any of you came into my life. I pretty much spent all of my money on video games and toys that I loved, and I put everything that I loved on display here in this room for you guys, because when it came to Disney characters, I pretty much saw heart in those Disney characters, because with every character that Disney ever created, there was a heart also created for it. It was kind of like Build-A-Bear, and I honestly believe that Disney, in Disney's mind, he thought of creating characters like Build-A-Bear. You guys know how you go to Build-A-Bear, which, by the way, I think is the coolest thing in the world. They're building a Build-A-Bear location near me, and I would love to work there, honestly, just to put smiles on people's faces every day. I don't know if it's ever going to happen because I'm a full-time content creator, but it's kind of like Build-A-Bear, how Disney would create these characters, and he would put stuffing in them, and he would give them hearts. And the hearts are what made these characters so special to a lot of people. Characters like Rapunzel, characters like Olaf, and many more that I could spend hours talking about. These conversations that I have with you guys about Disney characters and how these Descendants characters have drawn inspiration from popular princesses and their stories are really beautiful. And Disney villains who have gone on to achieve so much recognition and far more reverity than they probably got over 25 years ago, because it's only now that Disney's kind of come into a realm, a generation where they're also promoting villains along with heroes. And why do you think that is? Because for every villain story there had to be a hero. There had to be a protagonist and an antagonist to allow that story to come to light, because without a villain there really is no story. Without somebody presenting a chance for controversy and controversial moments, it could never happen. You know, years ago I used to work in the professional wrestling industry, and they'd always ask me to come up with villains for the script. It was for the purpose of the script, and it was to put over heroes that people of whatever age you were at the time would go on to love. And as long as the fan bought what you were trying to sell them, your purpose was fulfilled. And I used to love creating heroes and villains, and I used to love contributing to that. So when I see people like Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson going on to achieve so much recognition for their characters, I can't help but find time and appreciate that. I can't help but find time in appreciating this new cast and what they've done for this franchise and how much they've meant to it. Because when you talk about a girl like Clarke, she was forever fearless. She never cared what anybody thought about her, maybe in front of the camera, but behind the camera she obviously did, because the emotions sometimes would get the better of her and she would be reduced to tears. And forgive me, but I saw issues with that. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to take away that pain. I wanted to wipe away those tears, and I wanted to give people something positive to watch. I wanted to give something for people to believe in more than ever before. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And it happened overnight, because thousands of people subscribed here, millions of people watched the videos, and it made it so fun for me being a content creator, because what I've done over the last 25 years would have never meant anything without your guys' love and support. And that's the one thing that I've always wanted you guys to know and realize, is that without you, there would have never been a Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. There never would have been an oh no moment for us to experience, or there never would have been these conversations and these stories we've shared with thousands, if never millions of people about how much we were a fan of Descendants of Zombies. You are what matters to Descendants of Zombies. Your passions for collecting the dolls and all the merch that comes with it is what makes this so fun and so forever enjoyable for people like me. And while other content creators will never admit that to you with an open heart and an open mind, you will always have me to admit that to you guys, because I know that I would have never happened. I would have probably never existed on YouTube if you guys never loved me as much as what you did. So I'm inviting you to come along on this incredible journey with me to discover the passion of Descendants of Zombies and beautiful friendships such as Kylie Cantrell and Malia Baker's friendship, and even Freya Sky and Malachi Barton's friendship, which you guys have proudly put on display through the YouTube channels and the content that you've created, which is wonderful, by the way. Probably even more wonderful than the videos that I've ever created, because you guys do it with so much heart. I do it because of you and because I'm a fan of Descendants of Zombies, but there is so much more heart in the fan of a Descendants of Zombies fan who has been a fan of this for what feels like forever. Because let's be honest, you guys grew up as a fan of Descendants of Zombies, and that's all you've ever known. And I think that's what makes this so special, and I think that's what every creator needs to go on to realize, is that you guys grew up around Descendants of Zombies. That's all you've ever known, and that's how you proudly represented yourselves, through wearing your Freya Sky merch like I saw earlier today, or by collecting your Descendants of Zombies dolls, or hanging that one poster that you love so much of Zed and Addison on your wall. And believe you me, I know, because I've seen it. And I found time in supporting that because you guys have shown so much love and support for your favorite characters, and you've allowed me the opportunity to be a part of something so incredibly special through reviewing songs and reviewing scripts and reviewing the power of Descendants of Zombies, which will go on to become something so special. And yes, I know I live inside of a haunted house where you guys hear a lot of creepy noises in the background, but I've been meaning to get that checked out. But honestly, guys, living here on an island where I'm isolated, where there are only two ways off of it, by boat that could sink, crash, and explode, or by plane that could also sink, crash, and explode, that's what makes these videos so worth it. Living your life as if you live as a citizen of Seabrook, and living your life in fear of a zombie apocalypse never does come easy. And I do apologize again for living inside of a haunted house. But again, that's what's allowed me to bring these videos to life. And for some reason, I'm suffering from a zombie infection every night after 6 p.m. I have no idea what's going on with me. I have all these different issues. I've got to get all this checked out. Spending too much time creating Descendants of Zombies videos. Hit the subscribe button. Show your love and support for these videos, because honestly, I don't know where I'd be without you guys. I'd probably be dead now because I'm suffering from a zombie apocalypse. But the thing is, guys, thank you so much for just being here, and thank you so much for believing in this YouTube channel with all of your heart, honestly, because you are what puts the love and the heart into every video that I've ever had the honor to create, and share my stories about Kylie and how I drew so much inspiration from her, and how I knew she was going to be something special. She really was going to be something special. That was undeniable, and you could really see it in Kylie Control's eyes. There's just something about seeing these stars perform, and you can just notice in their eyes that they're going to be something special, and they want themselves to be something special. And I just found time in encouraging that, and I found time in appreciating that, because you only have one life to live. The reality of life is you only have one life to live. And I know it's been said many times that nothing really lasts forever, but why does it have to be said that way and often referred to that way? Why can't we just believe that things can last forever, that fairy tales do exist, and one can find true love? Because if you only have one life to live, who's to say you can't make those things happen for you? That's what I wanted to encourage in every video that I've ever created, is that even though you're in doubt of finding that one person that you have a chance of spending the rest of your life with, that you could see yourself spending the rest of your life with, that does not mean that it can't happen for you, because it can. I think that everybody's created equal, and everybody deserves an equal opportunity to shine. And I think through creating these videos, that's what I've been able to emphasize. And that's what I've been able to encourage in every video that I've ever created. And you're saying to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, man, I hope you feel really better from this cold that you're suffering from, seem to be suffering from tonight. Thank you so much if you have compassion for me, because I really do go out of my way to create a lot of videos about Descendants of Zombies, even when I'm dying. Apparently on this show, I go out of my way to record videos for you guys, because I always want to put something out there for somebody to watch who may be excited about the Worlds Collide tour, who may love a song by Freya Sky that they probably listened to 1,000,000 times over. I know what it's like to be just like you. I know this is kind of a really weird comparison, but in 1996, on May 6, 1996, many of you probably are too young to remember this date, but on May 6, 1996, the Backstreet Boys released their first ever album. Get Down was the most popular song they had. Really, it was the only song they had, because like every boy band back in the 1990s, they only had one song. It was really, they were referred to as a one-hit wonder at the time, and nobody would ever imagine they would go on to achieve so much success. But long story short, every night on my boombox, because years ago all you ever had was a boombox. You had no high-tech stereos. You had no way of streaming music, because there was no such thing as YouTube. You would go up in your bedroom after you bought the Backstreet Boys CD. You would pop it into your boombox, and you would listen to it, hoping your boombox wouldn't blow up. And I remember being a huge fan of the Backstreet Boys. Stop laughing. And I love them so much. And I can really see that same love and support coming for people like Kylie Control and Freya Sky all the time. It is really beautiful being a part of a whole new generation and having the chance to experience so much and have so much fun while doing it, allowing you the opportunity to create so much relatable content that you could only ever hope was going to touch the heart of somebody out there who may have loved these stars just as much as what you did, because seemingly that's the only hope I've ever had. I say this because there are so many people out there who create these videos about Descendants of Zombies every night who aren't dying. And they say, things about Descendants of Zombies that never really make a whole lot of sense to a whole lot of people. And I like to create videos that are relatable to a whole lot of people, even though I may be suffering from the common cold every night. And I really wanted to put my heart into every video that I ever had the honor of creating, because that's what makes your videos so fun, is knowing that you have a chance to relate to far more people than ever before. And I've had the honor to do this time and time again through the predictions I've made, through the stories I've shared about how much I loved Red and Chloe, because the one thing that always stood out to me was their beautiful friendship. And because their friendship was so beautiful, that's what allowed them to really bring this story to life. I think for every story, there have to be characters that are relatable, characters that always have a way of touching your heart. And I think somewhere, somehow, these characters have succeeded in doing that. And they will have bright futures that we are all going to be a part of time and time again, because the way I see it is, or I choose to look at it, this story is far from over because it's never had to be over. I think it's a lot of people are pretty much just trying to encourage us that this story is going to see its conclusion, and by the time it does, trust me, it will be a beautiful conclusion that we are never ever going to forget, that we are all going to be a part of. It would be something that I would love for you to be a part of, because we still have a long way to go. So if we could ride that horse off into that proverbial sunset together as fans of Descendants and Zombies, there's no greater honor in the world that I love to bestow upon myself and really on all of you, because I think that if you're just becoming a fan of Descendants and Zombies, or you've been a fan of Descendants and Zombies for your whole life, there is no better time to show your love and support for who you may love and who you've always had so much support for within your heart. Because no matter who you are, you all have a story about the Worlds Collide tour, or you have a story about being a fan of Descendants and Zombies when you watched it or may have watched it for the first time ever with your friends. Because that's when you bonded. You may never realize it, but that's when you bonded because you had something in common. And that just something in common happened to be Descendants of Zombies. Believe you me, I know it because I've seen it firsthand. And what I've witnessed is really beautiful, because people stay friends for forever because of Descendants of Zombies. So if there's one thing I could encourage and get away with encouraging, it would be to stay friends with each other for forever, because those friends will be your friends for your entire life, and they will have unconditional love and support for you every single time that you ever needed it or ever wanted it in your life. There's just something special about this niche that is truly undescribable, and I think that anyone who's a part of it understands where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about, because it's just a really powerful experience. It's really been life-changing for me. It may have came in the hands of somebody who recorded a podcast from his parents' basement because he had no money, he had no place of his own, and had to live with his mom for the rest of his life. But it was so, I don't live with my mom anymore, by the way, so ups to me. But, I spent a lot of time living with my mom, and I recorded podcasts for people just hoping that my voice, stop laughing, was going to be heard by more people than ever before. And, I've had the time of my life doing this. I may have had to record podcasts during Mom's Wednesday night bingo games, and every time somebody would win, you'd hear bingo over the podcast, but that's what made this so special for me. And trust me, that was never easy. That never came easy for me. I never imagined that my podcast would go on to be so relatable, so funny, and put so many smiles on so many wonderful people's faces and touch so many wonderful people's hearts. And that's what's made this so special for me, and that's the one thing that I will never, ever forget, that will always and forever remain constant to me because of you. Because as I said here earlier, this show would have never happened without each and every one of you and your love and support. So thank you so much for having made this show so special, and thank you so much for allowing me to have represented you as your voice of Descendants of Zombies, which I look forward to doing in that incredible future, which we never seem to know what that future has in store. But again, thank you guys so much for holding a very special place in your heart for me as the creator of this channel, and thank you so much for holding a special place in your heart forever and always for that of Descendants of Zombies, because that's what's brought us that much closer together. That's what's made us completely legendary, totally legendary, and I've really had the time of my life. So as we look ahead to the summer of 2026, we have so much to be excited about. We have Descendants 5 Book of Wonderland coming out. It's on the way out. The teaser trailer looks phenomenal. Although it may have never offered us much in 30 seconds that it was dropped, it did get us really excited, and it got us talking. So we have Descendants 5 Book of Wonderland. We have the Worlds Collide Tour starting on September 25th. It will run through the 25th of September until December 13th. So it's going to conclude just before Christmas. So that's going to be crazy times and a whole lot of fun. And I want you guys to go, and I want you to have a fun time. And I want you to never, ever forget the time that you will spend with your family, with your friends, because that's what matters. It's never mattered how a critic feels about how Jonathan Clarke is suffering from the common cold, recording videos about Descendants of Zombies when he should be drinking chicken noodle soup. But what's always mattered is each and every one of you, and creating relatable content that would touch each and every one of your hearts some way or somehow. I never knew how I was going to be able to do this or come through with as many wonderful videos about Descendants of Zombies that I eventually did. But again, that's what made this so special for me, and it's been a life-changing experience that I know that will hold a very special place in my heart for many years to come. It's already held a very special place in my heart for many years that I will never ever forget, because I got to share in those memories with all of you. So thank you so much for making me your favorite podcast host of all time. And seriously, guys, I am your favorite podcast host of all time, right? Jonathan Clarke on YouTube, oh no. Hit the subscribe button, guys, because I love Descendants of Zombies just as much as what you do, and I felt so honored to be a part of this really life-changing experience that I got to share in with all of you while sharing my story with you about how I became a fan of Descendants of Zombies and hearing yours that you share with me. That will always hold a very special place in my heart. Thank you so much from wherever you're watching this video or maybe hearing my voice tonight. Thank you so much for watching this video and holding a very special place in your heart for Descendants of Zombies and for me as the creator of this YouTube channel, because I have no idea where I'd be out there in this really crazy world tonight without your love and support. Keep on believing in Descendants of Zombies. Hold it close to your heart, because we still have a long way to go. This story is far from over. Why, you may ask? Because it never had to be over, and we believe in it with all of our hearts, and that gives us more of a reason to take more of a chance on Descendants of Zombies than we ever have, and be more excited for that future than we ever were. Thank you so much for having watched this video, and thank you so much for believing in Descendants of Zombies with all of your heart.